Mhm. You know, I just kind of looked through the court record and this other. Yeah. hmm You know, it was probably the prosecuting attorney that would admit that as evidence. Yes. Did law enforcement want it to look like I had committed domestic violence or child abuse when I hadn't? There's some others here. Yeah. There's Heidi's response to the children in the middle class. Yeah. There's an other there, and an other. Yeah. But all of those have numbers. Mhm. Now, just kind of looking through it, yes. What happens when the police department intentionally has a bias and prejudice? Well, there's no number there. And I would have thought that the prosecuting attorney would have gotten any evidence. Yes. And then during the trial for the allegation of violating the protection order, yeah, that was where it was admitted as evidence. Yes. And that was Officer LaRue. Yeah. So really, when you put this law enforcement worksheet on the protection order case number, yeah, it doesn't go there. It goes in the district court case number, where I was being tried for the allegation of violating the restraint provisions. Yes. And since it doesn't go in this, yeah. Now, of course, she could have motioned the court with a copy of the law enforcement worksheet. Yes. And then Brent would have been obligated to tell her that we can't reissue this, even though it's within 90 days, until we find out if the jury finds Paul guilty or not guilty. Yes. Now, a lot of police officers, they dislike this idea of being wrong. But I would say that this law enforcement worksheet, yeah, doesn't belong in the Superior Court right now. Mm-mm. And if it was submitted to the court as a reason for the renewing of the protection order, yeah, the court was obligated to wait until there was a verdict of the jury. Yeah. Now, I'm kind of thinking, yes, that somebody that had a badge on had intentionally handed it to the county court clerk. Yeah. hmm And said, well, I want you to put it on the docket, on the court record. Yeah. But I don't want you to put a number next to it. Yes. Because I want to make sure that the court commissioner at that time, yes, does understand that I want this reissued. Now, it looks real bad. I would have thought the law enforcement worksheet would have been given to the prosecuting attorney, yes, and they were going to use that as evidence to be able to call the witness, yes, that had issued the warrant for my arrest when I was living at 1023 Kitchen Dick Road. Yeah. When the Clallam County Sheriff's Department had arrested me and served me at the same time. Yes. And then they probably filled that out, Sheriff's Department. Yeah. And then that probably did have to go to the prosecuting attorney. Yes. So really, when you put that as an other on the Superior Court case summary, yeah. This says you are viewing the case docket or case summary. Yes, yes. This is the directions to the Clallam Superior Court. Yeah. Now, I think, yes, that this could have been included in this motion hearing. Yes. But when you put it here and it should have been used during the district court case hearing, Judge Porter, I don't think those go on there. Now, let's say you petition the court, yes, and you want to issue a protection order, right? And you think as a well, a law enforcement, yeah, that we need to have some justification for the issuance of a temporary protection order, yes, an ex parte, and we need a law enforcement worksheet to be able to do that, yes. Exactly, was it law enforcement that petitioned for the renewal of the protection order? Yeah. Or was it the petitioner? Now, I'm kind of thinking, yes, that when reading the instructions for the issuance of a TPO, yeah, and a PPO too. That quite often, well, what could happen, yes, is you thought that since you had arrested me, you had the right to ask the court to reissue the protection order. Yeah. Even though I was on trial for the allegation of violating the protection order. Yes. And that their two protection orders would be much more effective than just the one. Now, who is it that has to remove the protection order? Yes. Is it the petitioner? Or is it the individual that fraudulently had the county court clerk put it on the court docket? Now, it could be former Chief of Police Terry Gallagher needs to motion the court right now. Is retired Chief of Police Terry Gallagher? Since it was LaRue, that took the police report, yeah, and since it was the Clallam County Sheriffs that arrested me, what officer or chief of police or sheriff, yes, thought that you were going to reissue a petition for renewal? It would be a new one, yeah. See, this is the instructions for a temporary order for protection, the DV12_015 PDF. Yeah. This is a temporary protection order. If signed by the judge, this order will tell the respondent which restraints are currently in effect. Yeah. Now, quite often you need one of these law enforcement worksheets to get a temporary protection order. Yeah. And then the clerk will file the original in the public court record and distribute copies for you, law enforcement, and then service on the respondent. Now, you used a minute order when you served me. Yeah. That's really not included in the temporary protection order instructions. Now, it says at the next hearing, the judge or court clerk will write in the next hearing date, time, and place on the first page of the order. If you do not come to this hearing, the petition will be dismissed and you will not be protected by an order. Yes. Did the petitioner appear in court, or did the sheriffs and the police department decide that Brent was going to issue it? If the respondent does not come to the hearing and has been served, the court may still grant a protection order. Now, this is a very important part, because if I didn't come to the hearing, yeah, and I had been served, they might have still issued the protection order. Yes. So do you want to tell me, was it the petitioner or was it law enforcement that did this? Uh-oh. I think it was law enforcement. Yeah. Well, the protection order was issued for the protection of the petitioner and the 6 minors named. Oh, I was on Guam when you issued it. Yes. And when you arrested me and served me the dissolution of marriage, yeah, I got out of jail approximately the 29th. Yes. And when the police put the law enforcement worksheet to the court clerk, yeah. Did somebody really coerce? Yes. Extort? Yeah. Another protection order out of the court? Yes. So that I would know that you mean business. Now describe respondents, protection provisions, law enforcement data, service of the order. Now this order and the petition must be served on the respondent. Yeah. The respondent must know that what restraint provisions are in place and when and where the hearing will be held. You may choose service by law enforcement agency, a hired process server. Yeah. Now, if the respondent service address is within the city limits, name of the city police, and then if not, then it would be the sheriff. Yes. Now, law enforcement assistants sign the form. Exactly who signed the form for the petition for the renewal of the order for protection notice of hearing? Did law enforcement sign it because they arrested me, or did the petitioner sign it? And when the sheriff's department read me the minute order about appearing in court 12 hours later, yes. Because as I remember, it was approximately June 14th of 2012. It seemed like you had waited 10 days to serve me. Was the chiefs of police, Bill Dixon, Terry Gallagher, and Joe Haw at that time, were they laughing their fucking asses? Exactly who was it that petitioned for renewal of the order? Was it law enforcement thinking that they were going to get an ex parte, yes, renewal of a protection order, while I was on trial, yes, for the allegation of violation?